I used to watch that show Finding Bigfoot, but these motherfuckers never found Bigfoot, bro.
Right.
All these episodes of Finding Bigfoot, and they would do like their getting like Bigfoot calls and everything, but never did I once ever see like they got so close apparently, but they never found them.
Yeah, the same thing with like Ghostbusters too.
Warning. The following video is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
I have a question. Like, I don't know much about this, and I used to be really curious and learned about this when I was younger, like probably like middle school. I don't know why I was obsessed with this, but I want to know more about mythology. What is mythology? Where does everything originate from? Like, for example, like, do you want me to say an example? Or do you want to explain mythology?
No, go
first?
ahead. Yeah, give me an example.
Okay, so like an example is like, where did the whole Bigfoot start?
Yeah, okay.
The Loch Ness monster.
Like, so those are like myths. Okay.
Yeah, they're myths. Like, I've never seen it, but according to some people or a lot of people, like, they exist, you know? Like, I'm trying to hear, like, the origins of where myths come from.
Okay, I see. So, honestly, my take on the whole mythology thing is, like, I mean, obviously, like, my background is very science-based, so I'm always, like, explain things with science, right? So, like,
Well, actually explain that, like, so you studied science before?
Yeah. So I have a bachelor's in physics with a minor in math. So like, you know, I'd say like I'm pretty science inclined, you know, but like also like most of the things that like explanations I see, like I always like the scientific explanation for everything, you know.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like it's the most reliable, you know. I think a lot of people agree too. And the thing with mythology, with like most mythology, and also like I would say a lot of religions too, like you know, especially early religions, like I feel like humans just have this tendency to like want to explain things, right? Like they observe something and then they're like, okay, why, right? We always have to have a reason for everything, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like most mythology comes from the fact that the universe is weird, you know? Like the world is weird, and like there's a lot of things that are just like hard to explain. So I think most myths just come from people having some sort of explanation for something. So like you said, Bigfoot, right? So, you know, like people made an observation, you know, maybe somebody was in the forest one day and saw a really big foot, like a big footprint, right, on the floor. And, like, to them, it was weird. And they're like, okay, what could be an explanation for this? So they basically fabricated this idea of, like, the Bigfoot. It's like, oh, well, we've never seen an animal that has this foot before. So let's just make up, like, some dude who has a big foot and he, like, walks around in the forest. Yeah. And it's almost like a story, right?
Yeah, because, like, bro, when I was a kid, I'd watch on Animal... I was so obsessed with Animal Planet as a kid. And I used to watch that show, Finding Bigfoot. But these motherfuckers never found Bigfoot, bro.
Right.
All these episodes of Finding Bigfoot. And they would do, like, their... getting, like, Bigfoot calls and everything. But... never did I once ever see... like, they got so close, apparently, but they never found them.
Yeah, the same thing with, like, Ghostbusters, too. Yeah. Where they walk into the haunted, like, mansions.
Oh, okay. Actually, now that you're bringing that up, so, are ghosts myths?
So, that's a tough one, right? This is why I was mentioning science earlier. The reason that I like science so much is because when it provides an explanation, it's a very tested explanation, right? So, you know, like, you know, people are always like, oh, it's just a theory. Like, you know, theory of gravity, theory of this, whatever. It's just a theory, like, whatever, it could be wrong. And that's very true, it could be wrong. But the thing is, like, most of the theories in science, they go through, like, a lot of, like, scrutiny and, like, a lot of people, they recreate the experiments and they redo them themselves and, like, verify. And it's, like, under a lot of, like, pressure, basically, that the theory is correct, right? Whereas, like, with myths, it's almost like they just toss out some explanation, and with no, like, there's not really evidence, there's not really experiments you can do.
No,
it's kind of
scientific proof.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, oh, like, I don't know, my floorboard was creaking, so probably there's a ghost in my house. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But like, here's the crazy part, bro. Like, there's some things that like are just unexplainable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I'm probably gonna get hate right now. But I don't want, and I'm not superstitious at all. Like, I don't believe in a lot of things.
Sure.
And obviously, when it comes to religion, for me, it's just faith. Like, that's what I got taught. Like, it's all about faith. So I wouldn't even consider, like, religion a myth or anything.
Sure.
But when it comes to ghosts, like, I don't know why, but I do believe in it.
Yeah? Why do you believe in ghosts?
Dude, it's because, Oh man, my mom's gonna kill me if she watches this video. But back when I was younger, dude, like I would like I honestly thought it was cap, right? Like I didn't believe it or anything. So dude, like, and like man, and I was religious growing up too. But I always like ask, like, you know, like try to like talk to ghosts or whatever.
Really?
Like you know, being a delusional little like, well, how old was I? This was fifth grade, right? Like try to like talk to them. I wanted to see proof and everything.
Right, right.
And bro, like after like months, like I can barely remember this like era, but I remember like, dude, like I couldn't sleep. There was weird stuff going on, bro. Like maybe I was just like a kid and saw shit.
Yeah.
But the thing is like I remember once going to Mexico, bro, and like at the family house my fam has over there, and bro, like I kid you not, like I went into the restroom, closed up the faucets, and then when I went back into the restroom, because I would only use that restroom, like the faucets were open. I was like, oh man, I'm dumb. Like why the hell did I let the water running? Like someone's gonna kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad's gonna kill me for wasting water. So I go and I close it, bro. And then like I come like way later, like I gotta go pee. Remind you, this is all when I was like 10, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go back to go pee, the water's running again.
Damn.
And dude, like I'm tripping, right? Like I'm over here, like being a little kid, like trying to like tap it to see if it's like loose, opening.
I see.
And nothing. And then like I go downstairs, I'm like, hey, who's leaving the faucet on? Like, are you leaving it on purpose? They're like, and my dad's like, no, just turn it off. Like nobody's opening, right? Dude, I started tripping, right? Dude, that same Mexico trip, like, bro, the closet door, I was so scared of it. But dude, like I'd wake up at night and remind you, like in the house, like when it was like a lot of because it's like a family house, like all our family members go there because it has so many rooms and each room has like 2 king size bed. Dude, like I remember like me and my brother would sleep on this bed and my parents would sleep on this one. I slept at the edge, and bro, like I'd wake up like at like I woke up at 3 in the morning, bro, and like right before I go to sleep, I always closed it and locked it, bro. And that closet door was all the way open.
Damn.
See, and
dude.
it would trip me out, and I was like, dude, like,
yeah.
I would pray, like,
someone's messing with you, bro.
Yeah,
no way.
I would always, and I was like always blaming it on like that's bad luck. That's for asking those questions when I was here at home. Now I'm getting haunted here in Mexico. You know?
I see.
And like, bro, after that, like, I was like, you know what? Like, if there's some kind of entities out there, like I don't want to mess with y'all. Y'all don't mess with me. I believe in you guys, and I believe that, like, you know, stay away.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
see,
like,
that's why, like, I sound schizophrenic right now, but
no,
that's the thing that
of
tripped me out as a kid, and for me to still remember it is because it got to me.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people have similar stories too. Actually, I've heard of like similar stories like that. I don't know. I think in my opinion, like, since I'm very much a skeptic on these things. Like, I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. And whenever I do hear stories, it's like my explanation for it is like, honestly, your brain can play tricks on you, you know? And the thing is too, like, what I've noticed too, like, for example,
but how would my brain be playing tricks with the faucet, you know?
Sure.
Unconsciously, I went to go open it.
Well, what I mean, okay, sure. That's different. What I mean is, like, if you believe in something, you make it more real. If that makes sense. It's almost like, it's not like manifest, but it's more like just because you believe in it, you start to see it more often, if that makes sense. So, for example, like, you know, like the whole, like, angel numbers thing, right? Like, you know, like people always talk about angel numbers, 111, 222, whatever, right? It's crazy because, like, I had this friend and she would always mention, like, angel numbers, whatever, 111, 222, or whatever, right? Yeah. And like, I didn't think anything of it, and I know. I didn't think anything of it, and I was like, okay, whatever. And she kept mentioning, and like, eventually, I guess it like got in my head or something, because I started seeing the fucking numbers everywhere, bro. Like, I would check the time, and it'd be 222. Like, there'd be a license plate, it'd be 111, and I'm like, okay, like, before I even met this person, I never saw this ever in my life, and then all of a sudden, I'm seeing it all over the place, right? It's kind of like.
So what's the explanation to that?
Yeah, I think like psychologically what happens is, like, if you just by like not even believing, but like just by thinking about it, I feel like I feel like it enters like your subconscious or something, and you just like start to see it everywhere. So like for example, like people who are very like believers in like I don't know, like aliens or ghosts or whatever. They for some reason they always have stories like, yeah, the other day I saw something in the sky, or like, yeah, like, you know, like my floorboards keep creaking or the door keeps opening, right? And it's like those are like normal things that happen, but since you have this belief, then you make it more than it actually is, if that makes sense. So like, yeah, like obviously 111 happens on your phone sometimes when you check it, but you only notice it if you
Well,
if
okay,
you
please
believe,
explain to
right?
me the faucet then, bro. Because look, I've never experienced this ever again. And here's another trippy thing. One time there was an accident right in front of my aunt's house, right? The Carmen's house, and she lives in a retirement center, and she was the second house right here. There was no house at the one, like at the first one was back because it's like a motorhome place. It's whatever.
Sure.
And there was like this really bad because it's like a downhill, like, and there's always accidents, people crashing into that corner. And one time, like, it came up all over the news, but this car like straight like crashed into it, like straight up like brakes hit my aunt's car, like the entire side of my aunt's car was like kind of destroyed.
Another
And it
car
was
crashed
distant.
into it?
Yeah, like they crashed into the wall.
Okay.
Because they were going so fast and they lost control and hit the wall.
Oh,
And
okay,
then,
okay.
and obviously, like my uncle, who R.I.P. my uncle, but he went outside and he's like, yo, I gotta take pictures, right? Like of this accident that like happened. So, cause like, dude, like I need like a insurance claim for his car.
Sure,
the
yeah,
scratches.
yeah.
So he's like taking pictures and everything, and he's also taking pictures of like the accident too, because he needs proof like, hey, like I didn't hit this. Look, this car crashed into it. Dude, like they're scrolling into the pictures, right? Like I'm looking at, because I wasn't there when that happened. Like obviously, like when we went over, like they showed us the pictures, and in one of the pictures, I don't know who noticed this. I don't know if it was my mom or my aunt, but in one of the pictures, there's a figure, bro. I kid you not. Like it gives you chills, but it's like, have you ever seen the scary meme or whatever, where it's like this white faced lady with red eyes like this, and like
I think so.
a black mouth?
I think so.
Bro,
so. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, imagine that. Like, but like it's like in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, and there's no light post right here.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a dark corner, and you see that face.
Right.
And like honestly, like look, I get chills
No,
because I'm
that's
remembering
weird. That's
it.
weird. Yeah.
Like,
for
and it's
sure.
like, bro, like, see, I don't like now as I'm older, like I said, like I believe, but I just want to stay away from it. I don't want to think about that.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think.
See, and those are only two encounters I've had before
Yeah.
you start saying like, yeah, I'm bringing it into life.
No. I mean, of course. I mean, that's different, I think. I feel like there are also coincidences that occur sometimes. Like when you're like, let's say like you're using a camera. Like the camera is not always going to be perfect. There's going to be imperfections, right? And by chance, like statistically, sometimes the camera will accidentally make a face or something, right? Like for me, I always attribute it to like coincidences. Either that or like the faucet, like someone's just like messing with you. Honestly, like that's, that's the only thing I could. That's the only thing.
What
I could
about
say
the
about
closet
that.
door at night though?
See, like that too. It's
Who's
like,
gonna mess with me? It's 3 a.m, bro.
I don't know. Maybe they.
Brian's dead. My brother's dead asleep next to me. My parents, they fall asleep earlier because they're older.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and the door's locked, and the other families are in the other rooms.
I don't know.
I doubt my uncle's gonna come in and be like, "Hey, let me fuck with this fat boy."
No,
Unlock the door.
Hey, faulty closet, bro. Faulty closet. I don't know. Faulty faucet too. Like I feel like you could always explain it a different way other than like it's a ghost. You know what I mean?
Watch your ass get haunted. After this video, watch your ass get haunted.
We'll see. No, what I was gonna say earlier about myths too is I think that like you said, right? There are things that are like simply just unexplainable. Like even like science doesn't have answers all the time, right?
Okay.
Like what was before the Big Bang and things like that, right? But the thing is, like, that doesn't mean that we can't answer it eventually, right? And another thing is too that like early religions, I'm sure you noticed, but like early religions always have gods that are attributed to the sun, attributed to the moon, attributed to weather and things like that, right? And the thing is that like, from their perspective, like there was no science to answer what is this big thing in the sky that always comes up every morning, right? Or like what is the moon, or like why do we have thunder and things like that, right? So it's like a lot of early religions, they started off the same way that a lot of religions are now, right? There are things that weren't explainable by science, And so the only explanation they really had was to say like
saying the sun is a god.
The sun is some kind of god, or the god controls some kind of sun, and then like some other god controls the moon and things like that, right? And like
myth. So what I'm learning here is that myth usually start when you see something. I guess like at that time, looking at the sun rise in the morning is unordinary, right?
Exactly.
So like since this is so unordinary and they have no explanation, like they don't have any scientific explanation behind it, they would call it like a god or something.
Yeah.
Like
because the way
too easy solve, right?
Sure, yeah. Because also the way I see it too is a lot of religions they're like theories basically, right? It's basically like, oh, okay, the sun comes up every morning. I have a theory. Let me tell you my theory. My theory is that there's some god up there and he's moving the sun for us, right? And if there's no other explanation, then that's the best explanation, right? Like no one's gonna argue with you because it's like, well, I don't know what's going on, so I'll agree with you, right? And that's usually like how religions tend to like bring in people, right? Like into communities and things. Like it's like, okay, well, I don't have an explanation and I like your explanation, so I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna follow your practices and all that, right? And that's honestly, I could say the same about science too. Like a scientific theory that doesn't mean that it's right? It just means, yeah, we have a lot of evidence and it's like supported and it's good. It's a good enough explanation. But like,
that's how they call it the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, it's a good enough explanation, but like it's not the only possible explanation. If there's a better one, then we replace. Right? So like that was the whole thing with like Newton and Einstein, right? Like Newton had his idea about gravity. And then Einstein came and he said, no, this is my idea. And like his idea was just a better one. So now his idea is like,
so that
is the
his
real
theory is
the real theory now. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my whole take on myths, I guess. Like they're basically just explanations for people who don't understand a certain observation or event or something. Right?
See, this is where, like, I have, like, so many questions, bro. Like...
we obviously went to not obvious, but we went to a private school growing up, and then we had this nun as our 8th grade teacher for middle school, and she was talking to us. I don't know, dude. It's crazy how much I remember from this lady, bro. She was wise. She was smart. Because, like, she was very, like into science, too.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember one time, like, there was, like, a debating class, and they were saying, like, oh, like, the Big Bang Theory isn't true. And she's like, it is true. Like, but this is where, this is obviously a theory that she had. She's like, okay, like, if the Big Bang Theory is true, like, scientists can't answer where that flame came from, right?
Yeah.
And obviously a creator, a god, can like start that flame.
Sure.
And to me that was like an interesting answer, because like, see, like if you ask a religious person about the Big Bang Theory, and remind you, she's a nun, bro, she's religious. They'll be like, no, dude, God created the earth in like 7 days and all this.
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
But the thing is, like, see, like in the Big Bang Theory, like, is there any specifics to like how the world was created?
Like from the, like what is the Big Bang? Basically?
Yeah, like was it just like boom, explosion, humans on the earth? Like not humans, but like life on Earth.
So I mean, as far as we know right now, like the Big Bang is basically just it's essentially it's like we don't know where or why it happened, but we know for sure that it did happen, right? So the reason we know that is because everything is moving in the universe. Everything is moving away from each other, right? Which means that if you go backwards in time, everything is moving closer, right? So then eventually, if you go backwards far enough, everything will be in one spot, right? That's the whole essence of the theory, basically.
Okay.
But I mean, you're right. Like science doesn't have an answer for like.
Oh,
where,
that's the entire conversation we're having then. So the nun answered the Big Bang Theory, the start of it, like the flame start with God.
With God, exactly. Yeah. So it's a very similar thing to like how early religions, before there was science, they answered the sun and the moon with God, right? And it's like, you know, there could be in the near future or far future an explanation for the Big Bang, where it came from, like a scientific explanation. But for now, since there isn't, the religion theory is fine because there's no other theory, right? So it's like, yeah, the creator theory is good enough, and that's why like so many people believe in it, you know.
before we're called antichrist or anything, like yo, like
No.
we're
It's not.
religious, bro. Like,
Yeah. Of course, I advocate for religion still. Either way.
and
Yeah, of course.
I have my own like religious beliefs, kind of like outside, but we're
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
get into that right now. I just want to make that like clarification.
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
We're not
yeah,
against
we're
it.
not. We're not trying to
Like,
convince anyone.
Yeah,
like
if,
no,
like
no,
someone's
no.
like
yeah.
no, like God created the earth in 7 days. Like I'm not disagreeing with you.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I believe him.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I actually wrote an essay on that in high school about like how like religion and science can like work together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right then, bro. Now that we have to like sum up this podcast, like where we were all over the place.
We
today.
were all over the place.
All
today.
right. I feel like 20 minutes isn't enough. Hey, we gotta make our video shorter.
Yeah.
But I want to hear your conclusion to all this. Like, so are you? What I learned, the whole podcast is like, I have a question for Nick, and he taught me something new.
Efren loves learning, bro.
So whenever people have a question, right, and it can't be solved by science right now, like, because obviously I feel like okay, eventually it'll get answered, but for the time being, like, it's something that is not answerable, right?
Yeah.
We like to make these theories up where like, oh, like let's say like I saw like we'll go back to a Bigfoot example.
Yeah.
Like I see a big footprint,
Mm-hmm.
instantly Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's a mythic.
It's a myth,
I mean,
yeah.
it's a creature that walks the forest at night.
Yeah.
So it's like basically what I'm
It's
trying
an
to say is like,
explanation.
it's an explanation that's not legitimate.
So I wouldn't say that actually. I wouldn't say it's not legitimate necessarily, only because the thing that sucks about myths and why there's always arguments about them is because you can't prove them right, but you also can't prove them wrong. So it's kind of like I'm going to say, no, you're wrong. And then you're going to be like, prove it. And then you're going to say, no, I'm right. And then I'm going to be like, prove it. And then like both of us aren't going to be able to prove it. So it's kind of just like, whatever, fine. If you want to believe it, go ahead. You know, it's like that with myths. Have you noticed that? It's like, oh, like Bigfoot or like, well, okay, maybe not flat Earth because
Flat Earthers are also
flat
good.
Earth you could disprove them, but you know, like Bigfoot or ghost stories or things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can't really ask you to prove it because you can't, and like you know, like you can't.
I'm gonna put a hex on
like
it.
the same. yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's like basically it's an answer, and like it's an answer to a question that science can't answer, and it's a good enough answer to where like people believe in it, basically. That's how I see myths. Yeah, because there's no myths about science, right? Because it's like already answered, right? Like you can't make a myth anymore about like.
But
the,
isn't that where theory comes in?
Sure, that's theory. Yeah. But theory is different because theory can be experimented, right?
And
Like you can't really experiment like a ghost theory because like it's not how do I say it? Like it's not always like it doesn't always happen, right? Like for example, like you know maybe you're like, oh, at 3 a.m. every day like my floorboard creaks, right? And then you'll be like, it's a ghost, right? And then I'll be like, okay, and I'll come with you, and then we'll sit together at 3 a.m. and we'll wait for it to creak. But sometimes it doesn't creak, right? Or sometimes it does. So it's kind of like it's not consistent enough, right? So that's why myths are very like
inconsistent.
Yeah, like they're not provable. They're inconsistent. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I guess
maybe you
that's
learned
good
somewhere. Maybe you learned something today. Maybe you didn't. But honestly, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah,
to
random combo, whatever.
Yeah.
There's my conclusion.
Next week we're gonna have a special guest, and the week after that gonna have another special guest. And today we were gonna have a guest, and the whole episode was gonna be on bullying. And unfortunately, the person that couldn't come, which is our surprise special guest. So we're like, dude, what should we talk about today? Hey, do you believe in Bigfoot? Josh, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's how most of our ideas
And I was like,
come.
oh, okay, let's talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, well,
that's good. Hey, thanks for watching, bro.
This is a Foos podcast.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
I mean, hey, if you guys want more, like, if you guys have any random ideas you want us to talk about, hey, we're free to talk about whatever. Bro.
And any episode you liked, like in the past, like any previous episode, just to be like, hey, make a part 2 of that video.
Oh yeah, we can do part 2s too.
Part
yeah,
2 would
for
be
sure.
cool.
Yeah. All right.
Like the whole admit you're wrong. I don't know why I had so much fun in that episode. I was just being a clown.
That was a good one.
But it was a good episode.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching the Whole
Yeah.
Foods podcast.
Thank you for watching. Have a good day.
Have a good one. Take care. Be nice. make friends, respect others,
Hell
be
yeah.
patient, work on yourself,
Hell
hit
yeah.
the gym, go to school, go to work, do something with your life. Stop tripping over that guy or girl who left you on red in the DMs. Move on.
He said do something with your life. Holy shit.